What if I told you that everything you've been taught about weakness is wrong? That the one thing you've spent your entire life trying to hide, your vulnerability, is actually your greatest source of strength? In a culture that screams, be perfect, be bulletproof, we're taught to armor up, to build walls around our hearts and our ideas, to never let them see us sweat. But what if that armor is the very thing crushing your potential? What if the weight of trying to be flawless is heavier than any failure you could possibly endure? This is the revolutionary premise of Dr. Brené Brown's groundbreaking book, Daring Greatly, a book that serves as a map to navigate the complex, messy, and beautiful terrain of a truly courageous life. If you find value in summaries like this, make sure to like, subscribe to Audiobook Bites, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Now, let's dive in. Let's start by dismantling the biggest myth we've all been sold: that vulnerability is weakness. Brown's research, spanning over a decade and thousands of stories, reveals the opposite. She defines vulnerability as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It's not about oversharing or emotional dumping. It's about having the courage to show up and be seen when you have no control over the outcome. It is, as she puts it, our most accurate measurement of courage. Think about it. Every meaningful experience in your life requires it. Consider the Silicon Valley founder, standing in a stark boardroom, pitching a revolutionary but completely unproven idea to a room full of skeptical, stone-faced investors. Their entire vision, their financial future, is on the line. That moment of standing in the face of potential rejection and ridicule, that is vulnerability. Picture the NFL quarterback, his team down by 6, with only 30 seconds left on the clock. The safe play is a short pass to get out of bounds, but instead, he calls a risky, audacious play for the end zone, knowing that it could end in either glorious victory or crushing defeat, with millions watching. That is vulnerability. On a more personal level, it's having the raw courage to say, "I love you" first, with no guarantee that you'll hear it back. It's picking up the phone to apologize to a friend you hurt, not knowing if they'll forgive you. It's hitting publish on your first blog post, sharing your art, or applying for that dream job you feel underqualified for. These are the moments that define our lives. They are terrifying, and they are the purest form of courage. For too long, we've equated vulnerability with a character flaw to be overcome. Brown forces us to see it for what it truly is: the birthplace of joy, creativity, belonging, and love. To opt out of vulnerability is to opt out of the very experiences that give life purpose and meaning. The real weakness isn't feeling vulnerable. It's shutting yourself down so you never have to feel anything at all. So if vulnerability is the key, why do we run from it? Brown argues that we live in a culture of scarcity, a pervasive, gnawing feeling of never enough. You're not smart enough, not rich enough, not successful enough, not thin enough, not safe enough. This never enough mantra is the background noise of modern American life. It's in our advertising, our social media feeds, and often in our own heads. This culture breeds an intense fear of being seen as ordinary or imperfect, and out of that fear comes shame. To protect ourselves from the pain of not measuring up, we forge and wear emotional armor. Brown identifies several types, but one of the heaviest is perfectionism. We mistakenly believe that if we can just live perfect lives, create the perfect career, raise the perfect family, and look perfect while doing it, we can avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's the straight-A college student who has a meltdown over getting a B+, believing it's a sign of their ultimate failure. It's the young professional who polishes a presentation for 50 hours, terrified of a single critique. But perfectionism isn't about striving for excellence. It's a 20-ton shield. It's a defense mechanism that says, if I'm perfect, I can avoid being hurt. It's an illusion, because a perfect life doesn't exist. Another piece of armor is numbing. In a world that feels overwhelming, we find ways to dull our feelings of vulnerability and anxiety. It's the endless, mindless scrolling on Instagram after a stressful day at work. It's the work hard, play harder ethos that uses extreme busyness, binge-watching an entire Netflix series in a weekend, or having that third glass of wine to take the edge off. We are, as Brown points out, the most overstimulated, overmedicated, and indebted adults in human history. We do everything we can to avoid feeling the discomfort of our own lives. The tragic irony is that we cannot selectively numb emotion. When you numb the pain, you also numb the joy. When you numb the fear, you numb the gratitude. When you numb the disappointment, you numb the love. This armor we think is protecting us is actually sealing us off from the very connections and feelings we crave most. To truly understand the prison of perfectionism and numbing, we have to understand the master emotion they are designed to protect us from: shame. And here, Brené Brown makes one of the most critical distinctions in her work: the difference between shame and guilt. This is a game changer. Guilt is the feeling you get when you believe, I did something bad. Shame is the intensely painful feeling that I am bad. Guilt is focused on behavior. Shame is focused on self. This distinction is everything. Let's make it concrete. Imagine you forget your best friend's birthday. The feeling that sinks in your stomach is likely guilt. You think, that was a terrible thing to do. I hurt someone I care about. This feeling is productive. It motivates you to call them, apologize sincerely, send a thoughtful gift, and set a reminder for next year. Guilt can be a catalyst for positive change and reconciliation. Now, let's look at shame. Imagine you get laid off from your job. Instead of thinking, the company downsized, or it wasn't a good fit, a shame-based response sounds like this: of course it was me. I wasn't good enough. I'm a fraud, and now everyone knows it. I'm a failure. Do you see the difference? Guilt says you made a mistake. Shame says you are the mistake. This feeling is incredibly toxic and destructive. It doesn't lead to positive change. It leads to hiding, secrecy, and isolation. It's the secret fear behind the massive student loan debt you haven't told your parents about, or the credit card bills you hide from your partner. Shame thrives in silence, secrecy, and judgment. The less you talk about it, the more control it has over you. It unravels our connections to others and whispers the lie that we are unworthy of belonging. The antidote to shame, Brown discovered, is empathy. It's the courage to share your story with someone who has earned the right to hear it, and to be met with the words, "Me too." Shame cannot survive being spoken and met with empathy. Understanding this difference is the first step toward building what she calls shame resilience and reclaiming your sense of worth. So how do we put this into practice? How do we take off the armor and start living a more courageous life? Brown gives us a powerful metaphor, inspired by a famous 1910 speech by Theodore Roosevelt. She asks us to imagine our life as an arena. The arena is where you dare to show up and be seen. It's where you take risks, fight for what you believe in, and open yourself up to the possibility of both success and failure. Daring greatly means choosing to step into that arena. The arena can be anything. For an artist, it's showing your paintings in a gallery for the first time. For an entrepreneur, it's launching your startup. For a leader, it's having a tough feedback conversation with an employee. For a parent, It's trying to connect with your teenager about the dangers of social media. The arena is any situation where you put yourself on the line for something you care about. When you're in the arena, you are going to get your butt kicked. You will stumble, you will fall, and you will fail. Your face will be, as Roosevelt said, marred by dust and sweat and blood. But here is the most important part of the metaphor. Pay no attention to the critics in the cheap seats. In every arena, there are spectators. These are the people on the sidelines. The anonymous internet commenters, the cynical colleagues, the judgmental family members, who are quick to offer their opinions and criticisms, but who never, ever set foot in the arena themselves. They will tell you your idea is stupid, your art is mediocre, and your efforts are naive. Brown's research is clear. If you are not in the arena, also getting your butt kicked on occasion, your feedback doesn't matter. We spend so much of our lives trying to win the approval of people who aren't even in the game. Daring greatly is about developing the courage to say, I see you, I hear you, but I'm going to show up and do this anyway. My worth is not determined by your judgment. It's the spirit of every great American story, from the Wright brothers trying to fly when everyone said it was impossible, to Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school basketball team and coming back to become the greatest of all time. The credit and the rich experience of a life fully lived belongs to the person who is actually in the arena. Ultimately, all of these ideas, embracing vulnerability, shedding our armor, building shame resilience, and stepping into the arena, lead to one destination, what Brené Brown calls wholehearted living. This isn't a one-time achievement, it's a continuous practice, a journey, not a destination. Wholehearted living is about engaging with our lives from a place of worthiness. It means waking up in the morning and saying, no matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's cultivating the courage to be imperfect, the compassion to be kind to ourselves first, and then to others, and the connection that comes from letting go of who we think we should be in order to be who we actually are. It's a radical departure from the never-enough culture. Living wholeheartedly means choosing authenticity over being liked. It means setting boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable and disappoints other people. It's being willing to say no to protect your own well-being. It's letting go of the need for certainty and control, and instead embracing the messiness and unpredictability of life. It's about trading the carefully curated, perfect-looking Instagram feed for the authentic, sometimes chaotic, but deeply fulfilling reality of your actual life. It's about finding the courage to bring your whole self to the table, your strengths and your struggles, your triumphs and your tears. This is the ultimate act of daring greatly. It's not about winning or losing. It's about showing up and letting yourself be seen. So, the question daring greatly leaves us with is not whether you're going to face vulnerability. You will. That is a non-negotiable part of the human experience. The real question is, are you going to engage? Are you going to lean into the discomfort and show up for your life? Or are you going to stand on the sidelines, armored up, forever wondering what might have been? Your career, your relationships, your art, your legacy, everything you truly care about is waiting for you on the other side of that fear. Stop waiting to be perfect or bulletproof. Stop waiting until you're not afraid. The fear will likely always be there. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's feeling that fear and stepping forward anyway. Step into your arena. The world doesn't need the polished, curated, armored version of you that's hiding on the sidelines. It needs the real you, the imperfect you, the courageous you. The world needs the you who is willing to dare greatly.